My man Dallas, producer Connor in the other room working hard on trying to get the internet working. It's
not trying anymore. We're there.
Whoa, are we streaming?
We are streaming.
All right. So where can the fine folks listening to the best show on the radio find our live stream at?
If everything went according to plan, you can find us on Facebook at Hometown Heartbeat, and we're on YouTube at Hometown Heartbeat with Zach Walker.
There we go. YouTube, Hometown Heartbeat with Zach Walker is the channel name, or on Facebook at Hometown Heartbeat, and then you can get a live look into the old studio here. And I might be a little bit. I even forgot the word I was about to use. I was gonna say I'll be a little bit. Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank, Dallas.
Excited. I don't know.
That's so funny. So this weekend we were up here. Dallas was here. Antonio was here. Dale was here. Connor was here. And I got called high energy. And I don't understand that. Dale Jackson kept saying I was high energy. And so for those of you listening, I don't know that was a if that was a fair characterization or not, but I'll let you decide for yourself over the course of the next few days and weeks. So what do you think, Dallas? Am I high energy?
I'd say so. I mean, you came in this morning at, what, like
4:30-ish?
Yep. Came in, high energy, came in here, started, getting excited, getting everybody excited. It's always a good thing. Getting everybody woke up and such.
Excited.
Making demands.
Hey, easy. Easy. Look, I want next time I better have M&Ms and just the blue ones, okay? Just the blue ones. I don't want any other color M&Ms. Well, I guess you can't do that anymore. That's racist. You can't. I mean, I told my wife this weekend. We went shopping. Okay, we went shopping. Well, look, blue M&M lives matter. I'm just saying. We went shopping this weekend, and we were coming across the parking lot, and I just walked out in front of a car, and she was like, "What, Zach? What do you?" And I was like, "Look, in this parking lot, as the walker, I'm the minority, and I don't want to be oppressed. Like, I want to just be able to walk where I want to walk." And we walked.
That sounds like a fair request.
By the metrics that society now uses, it is indeed a fair assessment, I think. So let's dive into some news here, which, obviously, I'm looking around the room right now, and they're like, "Man, what did he just say?" Dallas, welcome to Hometown Heartbeat, where we talk openly and honestly about exactly how we feel, regardless of what that gets for us. Again, if you want to call in and give me a hard time, it is 678 on radio. Dallas is standing by to field your call. Luther, who came and helped us set up yesterday, said he tried to call. Well, Luther, it rang and we saw it, but we couldn't pick it up in time. So, all right, look, cancel culture gets hilariously mocked over Yale's connection to infamous slave trader. This is from theblaze.com. How about this? Don't you love when the left gets caught up in their own, snare? Is that the right word? I think that's the right word.
That's fair.
That's it.
Yeah.
Snare. Because, look, hashtag cancel Yale, because Yale University is, in fact, named for a notorious slave trader. Whoa. Yale University was named for Elihu Yale, not just a man who had slaves. He was an actual slave trader. We call on Yale to change its name immediately and strip the name of Yale from every building, every piece of paper, and all merchandise. Otherwise, they must hate black people, Jesse Kelly tweeted. Whoa, hashtag cancel Yale. Listen, okay, while this is funny and while I enjoy certainly listening to what look, I love this, okay? But I want to be super fair in saying that I don't believe it should be canceled. Like, it's funny to talk about, and it's fun to make fun of when people get caught up in their own sensitivity, but this is ridiculous. This is in the same way that tearing down monuments is ridiculous, in the same way that canceling culture is ridiculous. Like, this is we cannot walk around in a society where what we've done and said years and years and years ago is like a tweet from 1991 can literally end your career. Like, it's not a place. It's not an America I want to be a part of. It's not where I want my son to grow up. So leave Yale alone. Like, I get it, and this is funny and all that, but let's leave Yale alone and let's I don't know, dude.
But it's like, how are you going to cancel Yale?
Well, and I think that's the point, right, Dallas? And I think that's kind of the point of this. Is like it's not really about like I think it's just to show the stupidity. Like I think it's just to show the stupidity of the concept. Like this is a joke. This is obvious. It's got to be. If it's not, then Jesse Kelly, you're an idiot too. Because I mean, that's just the way it is. Like you can't do this. This is not okay. Do we have somebody on the phone?
Yeah, I believe we have Michael.
Okay, what do I do here? Do I have to like pick this up?
No, he's on.
Oh, what's up,
on.
Michael? Hey, this is pretty neat. Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, Michael?
Oh, not much. Just had to work. I was listening there, and some of these things these guys or whatever groups are asking for are just absolutely absurd.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What's absurd? Michael?
The movement of the monument, reform the police. I mean, just the whole. I don't know, kind of hard. I mean, I just really quit watching the news or anything like that. Just it's just hard to fathom like how they want to change.
Yeah, so so look, here's the deal, right? Like, Michael, thanks for your call. Michael, it doesn't make sense in some ways, but at the same time, you said reform the police. Like, and I would say hopefully, I think what you were trying to say was defund the police because you talked about taking down monuments. You talked about reforming the police. I think police reform is a conversation that we as Americans need to have. I think that we need to be willing to say, hey, maybe these and look, don't get me wrong. I know tons of law enforcement. I'm really good friends with law enforcement officers. Love cops, support them, and all that. But I would tell my friends that are cops the same thing. I would say, listen, that badge it's not a crown. Okay, it doesn't give you absolute authority to do whatever it is that you want unchecked. Like that's not ever going to be okay. I don't care what. I mean, the president shouldn't have unchecked power. Why would a cop? Like, why would a cop? The only source of absolute authority in my life is Jesus, right? And so outside of that, I give absolute authority to no one. So I certainly hope that Michael meant the defunding the police movement, not reforming, because reforming the police is something I think we need to have a conversation on. But look, Dallas, have you ever been pulled over by that cop and he was just an absolute, like, just a jerk about things?
Yeah.
Unnecessarily. Yeah. Like, unnecessarily. Well, think about that for our black brothers and sisters across the country. Like, if they got that and that was escalated for them, like I can understand where we're coming at. Now, I think that the statistics do not support the fact that black brothers and sisters across the country are being hunted down by white cops and killed because they're black. I don't think that that's a thesis that is supported with any sort of statistics. But certainly, it's a conversation. The conversation of race and racism is one that we need to have. And so, I'm happy to have that conversation, be the voice of reason on the right, and be willing to come at this the right way. So we will be back shortly. Again, you are listening to Hometown Heartbeat with Zach Walker, the Pulse of Americana, and we will be with you shortly. That's the first. Oh, it's the second time, but today's the first time I've heard the new intro. What do you think, Coach? Because your face says, "Thank God we're live streaming." In case you want to see what his face looks like, go to thehometownheartbeat.com. At the top, you'll see Watch Live. Click on Watch Live, and that will take you to the live feed. Coach, what do you think about the old intro there?
Oh, I think it's awesome. It's except the beautiful bearded part. I think that's a little much.
But it's true.
It's true.
I think it's perfect.
I think I'm perfect. So, no, I'm kidding. Everybody's like, man, this is the first time I've heard this guy. He's a beep. All right. So as we come back here, Coach was just leaning over here, looking at the old computer here, seeing what we're going to talk about. And the numbers are in, Coach. Hey, right? I mean, Dr. Fauci has all but disappeared. Paging Dr. Fauci, like wait. Follow the science, right? Like, I mean, it's, hey, follow the science. Wait, where's the good Dr. Fauci at, right? It's the craziest thing. When we started this some 60-something days ago, I would have never guessed that there was anything that could kill the coronavirus. Anything. Except for riots.
Yeah.
Those seem to. But what I want to talk about is, how does the coronavirus know about Trump's rally? But not, I mean, it's like the coronavirus is it's against Republicans. It's got to be.
It's anti-Trump.
No, it's definitely an anti-Trump disease. It's some people have autoimmune diseases. Some people have anti-Trump diseases apparently, because it's clearly being politicized, right? I mean, there's no way around that, right? I mean, I'm not crazy, am I?
No, it's clearly politicized.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if you don't want to catch coronavirus, you just have to change your political views a little bit, and you'll be fine.
Let's see here. I'm looking at this study here, trying to. Let's see. Get to the bottom line here. This is when show prep would have been extremely, extremely helpful. But essentially, it's saying that the mortality rate in the U.S. is very similar with that of Sweden's, and is turning out to be not that much worse than the flu. Now, I know. Before somebody sends me an email and talk, well, where are your numbers? Like, I'm working on that. Okay, if I could read faster, I'd already have them for you. They're here somewhere. But why am I held to those? So let's talk about that. Why am I held to those standards? Like, why do I have to support anything I say with any kind of fact or science or anything? Because nobody else does. Nobody else does. Why do I have to be factual? Like, what? Who cares? Say whatever you want. Say whatever you want, because there's absolutely no accountability in the media anymore. And I guess technically, now that I'm on the radio, I'm part of the media. So I can say whatever I want, and there's no accountability, right? Right? Because that's how everyone else operates. So why is it that there's a specific party or like, I'll say this, for those of you listening for the first time, I will say this right now. I hate two-party politics, okay? I hate it. I'm not a Republican. I'm not. I'm a constitutional conservative. And that to me defines my political views. So that being said, like, it seems like there's a bias, right? Now, I could be wrong on this. Like, I could be wrong. If you think I'm wrong, call 678 on radio. Let's have a chat. But it seems like maybe there's a bias. What do you think? Like only the left side of the media can say whatever they want. No accountability.
Yeah, I mean, it's like pretty
The
much
right.
The left side of the media is feelings based, and then the right side, that's why you have to prove.
How
it with
old are you?
facts. 18.
People, listen. That's a Gen Zer right there who's smart enough to figure out that the left is emotion based. Okay. Like, look, in Dallas, Dallas is a great kid. Love Dallas to death. But I mean, like, he's one of like the middle of the road in brightness and the crayons in the box. And so, like, I'm just like, if I'm kidding, Dallas is a genius. Okay, if he can figure that out, like, I would hope that you can too. But then again, that's expecting people to operate with any modicum of common sense.
Yeah, and a lot of it sounds good when it comes out of their mouth. Free healthcare for everybody. That sounds good. I mean, just stuff like that. But you got to think where it's coming from too.
Where is it coming from?
That's what I'm saying. Probably taxpayers, if I had to guess. More taxes.
Coach, you nodding your head doesn't work on the radio. Nodding your head doesn't work on the radio. He's used to coming to my studio and doing the podcast where it's we live stream everything, and we're live streaming now, but at 5:39 in the morning, there's not a ton of people awake and watching us. But this culture is it's unbelievable, and honestly, the fact that we can operate in a society that will cancel you, I don't know. It is all emotion based, and that's the problem. And here's we're coming up on an election here, right? It's time for you to make as we start talking about coronavirus again here, and as we're talking through some of that, I want you to remember a couple things. It's election season, okay? And as you know, that means it's time for you to exercise both your right and obligation as a citizen of this constitutional republic. Many of my friends that I served with fought and died to protect your right to complain about Trump, to take a knee, to burn a flag, but also to show up and vote and make your voice heard. So as you're sitting here and your small business was devastated by politicians and governments deciding the winners and losers, as you're sitting here and you had to defer your mortgage payment because your wife got furloughed and you lost your job, and as you're sitting here looking back at the last 6 months of America, I want you to remember something as we come into election season. It is time for you to one, get educated. And fortunately, you found the best place to get educated on the face of the planet, and that's right here on Hometown Heartbeat, because you will get smarter if you listen to us. 2, exercise those rights. It is. Don't forget the local and state politicians who made those decisions amidst the greatest pandemic threat that we've ever faced as a nation, allegedly. Right? Allegedly is important there, because very, very little science has come out to actually corroborate or validate anything. Am I wrong on that?
No, and it's honestly looking like the science is going in the opposite direction, to where it's making it look like it was blown out of proportion.
Dr. Fauci, where are you?
He's in hiding.
He is. It's like Joe Biden in the basement. I mean, come out. First of all, Joe, come out of the basement. Come out of the basement, Sleepy Joe. Let's talk. You think he's going to go into any debates, by the way? Do you think he'll debate at all? I think they're going to say, well, with his advanced age, he's a coronavirus threat, and we're just going to leave him locked in the basement so that his VP can actually run things.
I think it would be a really bad idea.
Oh my
for him
gosh,
to do a
I would love. I hate politics, and you're gonna hear me say that a lot, and then you're also gonna hear me talk about them a lot, and so that's just kind of the dichotomy that I live in, and so deal with it, and save your angry email. I don't care. But I would pay good money to actually. I mean, can you imagine Donald Trump and Sleepy Joe go? I mean, you might as well put gloves on them and let him just go.
Yeah, and they were going after each other before Joe was even running. I mean,
well, that was when he didn't have to have help, wiping
That's
himself.
true.
So he's gone downhill dramatically in the last little bit. I'm talking about, if you've not seen early onset dementia in real life, you're witnessing, you're watching it right now. I mean, you're watching it right now. So now you know what it looks like. And honestly, I thank Joe Biden for that, because there were a lot of people that were not aware of early onset dementia and Alzheimer's and how that affects people. And now they're all living that and can be empathetic to those that have loved ones that are truly struggling with that, because, it's a really sad thing to watch. And unfortunately, we're doing it in the public eye in front of everybody right now, and it's not funny. Honestly, it's not funny at all. It's really not. It's a shame. It really is. The emotional, all loving left needs to be more cognizant of how they're abusing people. Between Joe and Greta Thunberg, I'm talking about, they're just abusing some folks. How about her? How about the way they use her? She's obviously got something going on, and they just put her out there and just use her up, man. She's an expert now.
I guess so. I mean, she's the youth and she's pushing her movement, so they're going to throw her out there.
She's done years of study on the climate.
Years of study at Dunbody Middle School or whatever. What is? How old is she? 12?
I have no idea. I think she's younger than me, though. She's got to be
She's 16.
Yeah, 15, 16 probably.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. then she is, I guess, a voice of
reason.
Are you kidding me? Get out of here. Are you serious right now? This is.
But she does pull on your heartstrings.
Then maybe I don't have a heart because I've not had a string pulled by her once. I'm just being honest with you. I mean, I don't know. If I was a yo-yo and she was holding it and she dropped it, I would just fall to the ground. Boom, hit the ground. Like, there it is on the ground. Because she's not pulled on any string that I have. I just get angry every time I see her talk. Every time I see her talk, I just get mad. I just get madder than a hornet. I'm talking about I'm just mad. Straight mad. Look, if you want to call in and give us and talk to us, it's 678 on radio. TheHometownHeartbeat.com is the website. But do we have a hard break this? I'm sorry, I didn't write anything down. We don't have a hard break this time. So we can go to break anytime we want to. Well, in that case, sit down and buckle up, people. No, I'm kidding. Look, you're listening to Hometown Heartbeat on 92.5 WVNN. I think I got the branding wrong on that. I'll say it right next time, I promise. But join us at thehometownheartbeat.com. 256-678 on radio is the phone number. I am Zach Walker, your beautiful bearded host, and you're listening to Hometown Heartbeat, the pulse of Americana. We'll be right back. What's going on, everybody? We are back, Hometown Heartbeat, with your favorite beautiful bearded plus-size host, Zach Walker. Man, this is pretty cool, man. This whole radio gig's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, it's a good time.
I mean, look, yeah. I mean, if you're listening, you're welcome, because you're going to be smarter when this is all said and done. I tell people on my podcast all the time, like, welcome to the smartest place on the internet, where common sense prevails, and where we do actually listen to the science, because we're scientists. What? I don't even know numbers when I'm talking about coronavirus. What am I talking about? Dale Jackson is out there angry as crab right now. He's talking about the coronavirus doesn't have any numbers to back it up. And Dale, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm working on trying to get better at that. But I'm really more like the left. I'm kind of an emotion-based guy. You know, I like to just get on here and get fired up about things. And that's what we're going to do. And so this segment, we're going to come back talking about the choppy chaz.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
We're going to talk about the old choppy chaz, and I started the bottom of the hour with top of the hour. We're in the bottom of the hour, right? See, I got to learn the biz language. You know what I'm saying? Like what we say in the biz.
Yeah,
is
we'll
the
get
top
there.
and the bottom.
There you go.
We're at the bottom of the hour here on Hometown Heartbeat with Zach Walker. So at the top of the hour, and for those of you that aren't in the business, that means at the beginning of the hour. Yeah, that's right. I know the biz lingo. We started talking about the chazzy choppy chaz in Seattle, and a couple of things that I've noticed. One, the chop phrase. I think I would like to formally begin my petition for changing that insensitive and racially unjust name. Chop is longly connected to the Atlanta Braves, which are also largely connected to Native Americans and have been petitioned. The Rangers, they want their name changed, which, by the way, they came out and said, not going to happen. Thank you for trying. Have a good day. And so understand, I'm kind of joking about this, but at the same time, like, the chop is a symbol of racism. I mean, really, we need to change the name. It's an insensitive name. And this weekend, we got some calls coming in, Dallas. He was on the phone. We got some, this weekend, we had some violence in the Chop Chaz. And they're angry that there's no one coming to help. Like, the Chaz the Warlord is angry that there's no police presence, or that there's no ambulances to help his people. And I just, we talked about this before, but they want to scream defund the police. They want to scream we're autonomous, but yet they rely entirely on the city to support them. And maybe that's why they changed their name to CHOP, because autonomous, they didn't ever live one day of that word. Now they are the Capitol Hill Occupied Protest. That would be the CHOP.
I had to get away from Chaz because that was the character on The Wedding Crashers.
Well, not only that, but have you seen Chaz Bono recently? I wouldn't want to share a name with him either. Did I say that out loud? Are we live? Are we broadcasting, by the way? I'm kidding. So I've seen a couple videos come out of the old Chazzy Chop that are really quite concerning, honestly. Like Chaz the Warlord and his, which, by the way, like, stop playing World of Warcraft. You're an idiot. Like, he's a warlord. Are we playing Dungeons and Dragons? Like, what are you? You're a middle-of-the-road R&B artist with a Tesla payment you can barely afford, and you want to call yourself a freaking warlord? Like, get it. You, sir, are an idiot. Because all you're doing is using this for, and I'm not mad at you for using it for publicity. Like, I'm not mad at that. Like, well played. Like, as a marketing guy, like, I love that. Like, you use it, man. But really? Like, he's beat the, did you see there's a video of him beating the snot out of some dude? And it's like, I thought this was a summer of love in Seattle.
Yeah, but hey, look, we're talking about him right now. So I mean,
yeah,
he's getting his airtime, as much out of it as he can.
Yeah, but that's the Jerry Jones concept, though. Like, all press is good press. It's not. All press is not good press. No, it's not. Like, you. Oh man, this idiot. What? How are we going to allow this to happen in America? This is treason. Like, it's an insurrection, and it's no better than treason. Like, And every look, if you live in Seattle, first of all, the fact that you haven't moved tells me everything I need to know about you. But second of all, I'm kidding. There's good people in Seattle. I'm just joking. Like at least 3. But it, like the, hey, are you? Hey, citizens of Seattle. Like it's about time to vote. It's almost time to vote, and you need to remember that your city literally abandoned you. They abandoned you. They've done nothing at all to facilitate any law, any order, anything. We are not a nation of laws if the chop is allowed to continue, period. We can no longer call ourselves a nation of law. The rule of law, the rule of law. What does it mean? It means nothing when you've got a middle-of-the-road, not very good rapper running around with a gold-plated Taurus, which is the guy's an idiot, like running around with these weapons talking about I'm a warlord, and the city does nothing. You need to speak up. When it's time to vote, you need to freaking speak up, because the people you've elected are stupid. They are. Like, are you? First of all, there's a reason why they didn't pick Alabama. There's a reason why they didn't pick Texas. There's a reason why they didn't pick Wyoming. You know why? Anybody know why? I'll wait.
We wouldn't let it get to that point.
What would we do?
I don't step in.
How? With our guns. With our freaking guns.
Yeah.
With
Right.
our guns, right? You know why? Because we're all well armed. Most of us are well trained, have been shooting. I mean, when was the first time you shot a gun? How old were you?
Oh gosh, 8.
Yeah, I mean, so about the same, right? I mean, we all grew up in that way. I mean, a country boy can't survive. I mean, like, and that means in the chop too. Like, I could go to the chop right now, and I promise you, I could handle it. Promise you. Hey, me and about 4 of my buddies could probably roll through the chop and absolutely fix this problem. So the fact that the politicians can't is amazing.
And it's gotten to the point where it's going to be hard to, get everybody out of there without using violence or without, using force.
That's not true.
You
That's
don't
not
think
true.
so?
No, here's what you do. You barricade the city or the blocks, the 6 blocks. You barricade them off, cut off all supplies in and out.
Okay.
And then you just wait for, a week maybe? Yeah. What are they going to do? Well, the violence in the chop doesn't bother me at all. I mean,
no.
That's called culling your nuts, right? Like, let society cull its own nuts, right? Like, it's going to take out the ones that need to be took out, because if you're dumb enough to go in there and fight for anything, I hope something bad happens to you. And I mean that in the kindest way possible, if that's even possible. But, yeah, no, you put a barricade up and you starve them out. You make them. Hey, I got an idea. You want the chop to be over? Make them become autonomous.
That's what
Force them to be autonomous.
That's what I say.
I mean, they had that great little farm going for them.
For black people only? You talking about that one?
I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, there was a video that came out over the weekend that it was a tarp that they had put down in their park, and then they put some topsoil on top of it.
Yeah, I think
and then planted some, and then it said for colored people only. Which, by the way, you can't say colored anymore. Because guess what? That's racially insensitive. And so it's one of those things that, yeah, you want to end the chop, make them become autonomous. I guarantee you, the chop will cease to exist.
I agree.
Did you see that guy running around talking about how you got to give money to black people?
Yeah, the $10 fee.
Yeah, and then made the claim of like, well, if you have a problem with giving money, well, you're definitely going to have a problem giving them your property when they come for that. It's like, yeah, I don't intend to give my property or money to anybody. I don't know. This is a crazy world we're living in, and thankfully for you, you're listening to Hometown Heartbeat, the home of common sense here on the radio. I am Zach Walker, your host, and we are here for our first day. So if you're tuning in, you don't know who we are, hang out with us for the next hour or so, and you'll learn a whole lot about a whole lot. So, guys, we will be right back. Again, you're listening to Hometown Heartbeat, the pulse of Americana. What is going on, everyone? You are listening to, as you just heard, Hometown Heartbeat here. The pulse of Americana. I love that phrase, by the way. I came up with that in case you were curious. We are joined by Antonio here. Antonio is, he's pretty famous, and if you don't know him, I mean, he's kind of a big deal. I actually used to advertise with Antonio back in the day, and so I've known him for a little while here, and I asked him to join us for the second half of the show on a regular basis so that we could talk some other topics because, as I've mentioned, I hate politics. But before we get started, I just want to let you guys know this show is brought to you by Cotton Row Interiors. If you are looking to revamp your house, do a little remodel, if you've been cramped up and quarantine's got you looking at those cabinets from 92 and you're like, man, those probably aren't the way I want to go anymore. Joanna Gaines would not approve. Then you need to call us at 256-BUY-SELL. That's 256-BUYSELL. Call Cotton Row Interiors. They will get you squared away today. Free consultation. Leah Carter, our designer, she'll reach out to you and take care of you. So again, this show is brought to you by Cotton Row Interiors. So Antonio, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, you are.
I am.
It's
there's
you.
no-
It's
yeah.
all you. 5 to 7.
That's weird, by the way. It's kind of. I mean, I'm kind of getting used to it. Let's be honest. I love it. So Antonio, what's this NASCAR thing all about, man? We've got a noose in Bubba Wallace's garage.
Oh, you said NASCAR thing. Oh, you get in a circle, you drive around for like 500 laps, and then apparently everybody's racist now. Yeah. So NASCAR has banned the Confederate flag. A couple of weeks ago, Bubba Wallace was the driving force behind that, and as expected,
Wearing an American flag mask, by the way.
Yeah. So, and he had a Black Lives Matter car a couple weeks ago. He's been wearing an I Can't Breathe shirt. So you can imagine once we pivot to the South that you're going to have people respond. I'm not saying it's right, but you knew it was coming. Now, again, the Confederate flag was banned, so what people did was instead of bringing it into the facility, which you can't do, they lined the streets with it. They had a Confederate flag flown over the race with a sign drug behind it that said defund NASCAR.
That was funny. Not going to lie.
So, to go along with the whole defund the police and everything else. So everybody was kind of joking around about it. Everyone was bringing it to show their form of a protest to NASCAR, to Talladega, and then it seemingly took a step farther with last night the story broke. I was asleep. I didn't see it until this morning. The story broke that Bubba Wallace's crew, the only black driver in NASCAR, the only black full-time driver in NASCAR, found a noose in his little area in the pit. So
all right, so who has
Or in the
access?
garage,
Who has access to the garage here? Because I know Talladega just did a huge expansion, right? And they did this garage experience, and they're going to let fans in the garage and all that. But the coronavirus has that whole thing stopped. I mean, they're not letting fans in. The infield's closed. So who has access to the garage to throw a noose in there? That would be that would be somebody inside NASCAR, right?
Employees. That's
Has
it.
to be.
There's no fans that are allowed in there, and if someone got in there, it would have been the assistance of an employee. That's the only way it could have happened. I don't see how someone could have snuck in without going noticed. And so you have two situations here, two things that could have happened. And this is completely speculation. We're going to find out later, I'm assuming today, because there's going to be camera footage of this. I mean, there's access to that. There are cameras in that garage. So we're going to find out. But I'm not going to be surprised either way, depending on what happens. I mean, if it comes out that some NASCAR employee wrapped in a Confederate flag went and threw a noose down in there, I'm going to look at that and say, wow, that guy sucks. That guy's an idiot. He's part of the problem. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. But if we saw, since Bubba Wallace never saw the noose, it was his crew that told him about it. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an inside job. I mean, we have now history of the other side trying to continue this push that things are happening against them, and they're the driving force behind it. The Jussie Smollett situation is a perfect example of that. Jussie Smollett claimed that he was in Chicago and 2 a.m. at Subway and got jumped by some white guys in MAGA hats that said this is MAGA country, and it turned out to be black dudes that he paid to jump him. So
no, that's not possible.
Wouldn't be surprised either way. Now, the more likely scenario is it's probably a Talladega employee that is draped in a Confederate flag that went through the noose in there.
Yeah,
but
look,
again,
here's
because we have stuff on both sides, I wouldn't be surprised either way.
No, I mean, and look, I mean, we live down here, right? Like I know that this, we're in Alabama, okay? And so It's not a surprise. And look, we say this about both sides. So I want you to hear me. You've heard me the first half of the show talk about say some things that are hard one way. And so I want you to hear this right now. Really pay attention, because what I'm about to say is important. Like, we live in Alabama. We know it's not a surprise to us when there is a racist event that occurs, because there are a lot of people. Look, the stereotype came from somewhere, right? Like, I say this all the time. If you don't like your stereotype, if you don't like the reason you're stereotyped in any direction is because someone acted in such a way to put forth that stereotype. Like, it didn't just get created. So the fact that the South, Talladega, NASCAR country, whatever, has the reputation of being racist is because at some point a bunch of idiots acted racist. So, like, we have to be willing to accept, and we are, that, yeah, okay, you know what, like you said, it very well may be that there's some idiot running around wrapping himself in a Confederate flag, hanging nooses in black dudes' garages. And if it is, like, that would equally upset me as it would anybody else, because that's wrong. That person, hey, listen, you're stupid. Like, you're stupid. And there's no other way around that. But the Jesse Smollett situation, I love that you brought that up, because, first of all, I'm a big fan of Empire. I don't know if you guys watched that show. It's a fantastic show. I'm glad it's over. It got a little weird there at the end. But that guy, like, you talk about the inside job of all inside jobs. Mm-hmm. Like, that. Throw the mud. Like, you made the mud. Like, you made it. You poured the water in the dirt, you mixed it up, and then you picked it up and you threw it. Like, it is unbelievable. And it would not surprise me, because the culture that we live in today says if you disagree with somebody, you got to hate them. You got to hate them. You can't just reasonably disagree, have a conversation, be educated, no, you have to hate them. Hate them. And it's just ridiculous.
Well, the thing about us here in Alabama, which is the reason you saw all this go down yesterday at Talladega, is that you can say, at the very least, Alabamians are very passionate, super passionate about everything, about football, out here in the South, about everything. So when this whole flag thing came about, doesn't matter what side you're on, you're super passionate about that side, and you saw the ugly side of that yesterday.
The real ugly side, like the ugly side. And then in other sports news, you got Brett Favre. Like, hey, gunslinger, shut your mouth.
Brett Favre, again, that's something that doesn't play well, especially down here in the South. So Brett Favre pretty much took a shot. I wouldn't say took a shot. I don't think he thought he was taking a shot, but he essentially took a shot.
He pulled the trigger.
He took a shot at Pat Tillman.
Like, what? What? Huh?
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Brett Favre yesterday has come out and said that Colin Kaepernick is a hero in the social justice world, and that he has done something. He gave up his career in the NFL to fight for a cause. And he said that is very similar to what Pat Tillman did. That's the first guy that came to Brett Favre's mind. That's the first comparison to make, so he thinks he will go down like Pat Tillman did. And there's so much fundamentally wrong with that. Yes, Kaepernick didn't willingly give up his job in the NFL. Kaepernick wanted to keep...
No, he threw too many picks and got freaking cut. That's what happened.
He wanted to keep his job in the NFL while still promoting his social justice agenda. There's no way around that. He got cut that offseason, and yes, he was blackballed from the league because nobody wanted that media circus around for a backup quarterback, a guy that wasn't going to start for their football team. Now, he also got a $100 million deal or some kind of ridiculous deal with Nike shortly thereafter.
Yeah, he's okay, guys. Hey, he's doing all right.
Pat Tillman gave up the fame in the NFL to go fight for the country as an Army Ranger.
Yeah, killed in a friendly fire accident.
He was killed in a friendly fire accident back in, 2004. The two sides aren't comparable. Is Kaepernick some hero for the social justice side of things? Absolutely. He's going to be remembered.
I hope not.
They love him.
I know.
The social justice side absolutely loves him. But just because he is pushing something that is gaining traction on that side does not mean he's comparable to an American hero who went overseas in Afghanistan and was killed in action. There's just no comparison there. So Brett Favre That was a really stupid thing.
Well,
to say.
I want to read you the quote directly so that we're on the record correctly here. I can only think of, right off the top of my head, Pat Tillman's another guy who did something similar, and we regard him as a hero. So I'd assume hero status will be stepped with Kaepernick as well. Like, okay, Brett, hey, listen, buddy, I've never enjoyed listening to a football player mic'd up more than I liked listening to you. In fact, it's funny. This weekend, I saw the Jay Cutler mic'd up came out. I don't know if you saw it. It was unbelievable, hilarious. But it got me to watch it mic'd ups again. I pulled up Brett Favre and made my wife watch it. I'm like, this guy was hilarious. The way he played the game, he just loved to be there. He was a funny guy. He never took it too seriously. And hopefully, and I think when this came out of Brett's mouth, he was probably like, uh-oh, give me that one back. Give me that one back. Because I don't think it's not in his character to make big political he's not a guy throughout his career, he's not made a habit out of making big political statements like this. So I don't know that he meant this the way it came out, but Brett, it didn't come out good, buddy. And so, Brett Favre, if you're listening to Hometown Heartbeat, which you probably are, for being honest, then you're an idiot. Like what you said was the dumbest thing you could have possibly said.
I fully expect, and it should be an expectation, that if Brett Favre, if it came off the way Brett Favre didn't mean for it to come off, then we should get an apology. Didn't we just have Drew Brees get absolutely destroyed for putting out a message that wasn't a bad message? It came off insensitive because of bad timing and things like that. But wasn't he forced to come out and apologize? He absolutely was. So Brett Favre, you should absolutely expect the same thing.
If I was the family of Pat Tillman, I would be raising holy heck right now. I would absolutely be up in arms. Do we need to make some T-shirts? Like, I can't hide, friendly fire accidents. Like what? I mean, there's injustice in what's happening right now across the country, and understand that. Yes, you're right. Should he come out and apologize? Absolutely. But I would tell him and Drew Brees and anyone who is a part of this cancel culture, like, you're an idiot. Because people should be able to say whatever they want to say, and it shouldn't, like, if we want free speech to be free, like, for real, like, actually allow it, then we have to allow it and allow it without consequence. Like, you cannot carry consequences, because if your free speech has consequences, it's no longer free. A consequence is literally a result of your speech. Therefore, it is not free. Like I can't even wrap my mind around where we're at right now. I mean, sport. You can't talk. First of all, we're so sports deprived right now that literally we're reaching for anything to talk about, because it's like, well, I mean, you want to talk about Major League Baseball again? No, freaking idiots. Like, they're not. Are they going to play? They're not going to play. Is the NCAA going to play? I don't know. I mean, Feinbaum doesn't think so. Then again, he doesn't have a job. So I'm kidding, Feinbaum. Just kidding. What happened with that whole situation, by the way?
What situation?
Feinbaum not being with SEC anymore. Do you know anything about all that?
That's been going on. That's just a rumor for a long time. That's been going on for a long time. I mean, I think he's got a contract negotiation coming up soon. He wants to do a sitcom.
What?
Yeah, so that may
be the dumbest thing I've ever
That's
heard.
been an ongoing thing. Every time that headline pops up, it's to grab people that aren't aware of the entire situation, that it's a shock factor thing. Oh, my God, Paul Feinbaum's leaving. They need clicks. That's been a rumor for years.
Oh, well.
That was a rumor a couple years ago when he re-signed his contract. So
that do you like Feinbaum?
I don't listen. He's on at the same time I am, so don't listen.
Oh, I listen. I mean, that's why I don't listen to Feinbaum, because I listen to Antonio, and you should too. Listen. You're listening. You're listening to Hometown Heartbeat, the Pulse of Americana, with your bearded host Zach Walker. We will be right back. What's going on, everybody? Hometown Heartbeat with your bearded host, Zach Walker, is back with the one, the only. He's a national treasure. He's a man. He's a myth. He's a legend. He is Antonio. What's going on, buddy?
You are again.
Again, it's
5 to
still
7.
me.
Until 7 o'clock, it's all you.
Dallas, what are you doing? You have a hood on.
Rocking the hood.
And for those of you that can't see what I'm talking about, go to thehometownheartbeat.com and click Watch Live at the top of the page, and you will see a live stream of this show, and you will see Dallas in his sweet hoodie with his hood up, his pink hoodie with his hood up, and his. Are you cold, buddy? I'm over here sweating bullets.
It's because he knows I think he needs a haircut.
Well, he does.
That does actually play into it. You know, the hair's getting annoying.
So get it cut. Why would you not get it cut?
I don't look good with short hair. I have a really weird shaped head. Is it funny? Is it funny?
Pretty funny.
I got a big head too, so like if I don't know. I don't want to expose my head.
Okay. Well,
That's weird. You have such a weird body composition. You have a big head. You have tiny hands. We've established that already on our show. He has tiny hands, especially for his size. Back when the NFL Combine happened, they always make a big deal out of hand size.
Yeah.
So we measured our hands because Dallas was producing my show at the time, and Dallas has pretty small hands. So
Smaller than the smallest quarterback's hands at the Combine. So
that's small.
it's like 8 1/4 or something. It was pretty small.
yeah.
I'm gonna move past that. That's what. Hey, if you're listening and you know me, that's growth, okay? Because he just lobbed me a softball and I took. Anyways, all right. So here we are talking about everything, and this headline pops up: Texas Rangers have no plans to change name despite criticism of police force connection. So essentially what's happened here is we've decided that because the Texas Rangers are a law enforcement organization in Texas, okay, and they're exclusive to Texas. They're literally called the Texas Rangers, but they are an extension. They are a law enforcement agency in Texas, and so simply because they are law enforcement, they now have to change their name. Are you kidding me?
I'm glad the Rangers are standing firm on that. You have a lot of push. You've always had push in Major League Baseball to get certain chants gone, like the Braves chop, the Tomahawk chop. That's been a point of conversation for a long time. Chief Wahoo and the Indians, they just got logo changed. They don't use that logo anymore. They don't sell memorabilia with that logo on it anymore. So this is completely different. This is some social justice thing. This is someone who got butthurt, someone who doesn't like the police, and this is cancel culture slowly trying to creep in and continuing to take what they can get. And then that's why it's so dangerous when you give in to something like that. Like the Confederate flag's a bad example, I think, but you give into that and they're just going to come and take more. You agree to something.
But why is that a bad example, though?
Because it's a lot more divisive than the Texas Rangers.
But why?
Because of the history behind it and how a lot of people feel about it. I mean, the people that stand up for that flag, I just don't understand the passion behind that, because I look at it when people say we want that flag gone. Me being from the South my entire life, I look at it, I honestly don't feel passionate about that flag. I do not care
I couldn't care less,
about that flag, and I don't understand the passions around it just because I've never shared that passion. But this is something completely different. This doesn't have necessarily a racial background to it. This wasn't founded, in a time where people were fighting for slavery. You know what I mean? This isn't that. This is based on a police force that people are upset about, so they're trying to cancel culture is trying to creep in and continue to ask for and get something. And that's the biggest mistake. Again, with cancel culture, you give into it. You say, you know what? This isn't worth fighting for. I'll give into it. I'll cancel this. And then they're going to keep coming back at you for more and more and more. They do not go away. So I'm glad the Rangers are standing firm.
Here's the thing. Here's what people don't understand. And I'm gonna about to blow your mind and probably offend everyone, and I'm okay with that. But the Texas Rangers are significantly more racist than the Confederate flag. And the reason I ask you that is because you're right. The Confederate flag and what it stands for, everyone wants to equate it to a swastika or wants to equate. It's not that, okay? And for those of you that don't understand the Confederacy and what it was and all those things, like you need to do a little research on that before you jump on this bandwagon, because it's a scary wagon to get on. But the Texas Rangers as an organization have a history of brutal racism. They do. And so honestly, like of all the you are absolutely right. If the Rangers would have changed their name, I would be mad about it. But just to be clear, like they're more racist than the Confederate flag.
I need examples. I don't.
Like, well, no, there's a book. There was a book that came out, and it's called, hold on a second, where did I just put it? The Cult of Glory, The Bold and Brutal History of the Texas Rangers, written by Doug J. Swanson. And it details, like, as a police force or as a law enforcement branch, there is a history of racism in that and some brutality and all those things. Again, doesn't mean they need to change their name. It doesn't mean that, and I'm glad the Rangers are doing that. But in terms of, like, what you were talking about with the Confederate and all that, it's totally different. The Confederacy, the history that goes behind that and all that stuff. We got Dan from Madison on line 1 calling in. Dan, what's going on?
Well, okay, so this is the new show in the morning, right?
It is.
Well, it's a pretty good show, guys. Good job so far. I enjoy it quite a bit.
Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate your call. You're the reason that we're good, Dan. Guys like you. We just like to get in here and educate people, and so, I thank you for joining the smartest show on radio.
One of the things that was said this morning, I picked up on real quick. It's you're taking a little bit of freedom every little bit. Just they take this, they take that, they take this, and eventually, guys, we're going to have nothing.
No, you're exactly right, and we talk about it all the time on my podcast. We talk about how in the history of humanity, not one time has a politician, has anybody taken anything from you and then turned around and given it back. Like, how many times have we had any of our civil liberties or our rights or anything taken from us, and then well, we're going to take it for a time. It's the coronavirus, so we're gonna seize this, and then but as soon as it's over, we're going to give it right back to you. It doesn't happen. And here's the reality is the Bill of Rights and our what are unalienable rights to us, like, they're not what the government gives you. They're what cannot be taken away from you. And that's where I think we're all missing the point is the politicians, those in power, they do not have the right to take some of the things they're taking. And Dan from Madison is spot on because it's terrifying and scary, and your liberty is being taken. Step inch by inch, foot by foot, a day at a time. You're listening to Hometown Heartbeat, the Pulse of Americana. We will be right back.
Pulse of Americana with your beautiful bearded host, Zach Walker. Alabama's best no-holds-barred, constitutionally conservative, Christ-centered talk radio. If that don't fire you up, your wood's wet. Now, it's time for your bearded host, Zach Walker.
What is up, Radio Land? That feels weird. So that feels weird. So if you're tuning in right now and you're like, man, who is this guy talking on the radio? Go to thehometownheartbeat.com and check us out. We are a local we started as a podcast, and we are now your option from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., which, by the way, real early, Antonio. real early. This morning was a little bit weird. We're going to come back from break and go to the phones. We have Ricky on line 2. What's going on, Ricky? Welcome to Hometown Heartbeat.
Yes, sir. I'd like to comment on what you were talking about, disappearing freedoms.
Okay.
Just an example is the way they've done about cigarettes. You know, you used to could smoke in certain areas of restaurants, but now they banned them altogether, and then you could smoke outside the restaurants, and they've stopped that. And now there's places where you can't even smoke outdoors.
Ricky, are you a smoker?
But yes, sir. But the hypocritical part about it is they won't ban cigarettes because they want the tax money.
So would you consider that to be your civil liberty to smoke a cigarette?
Yes, sir. It's just a freedom.
So is what and what, I guess my question to you would be, what grants you that freedom? I don't.
Oh.
I mean, the Bill of Rights doesn't. And again, I'm saying this for a point. It doesn't say like you have an unalienable right to smoke a cigarette wherever you want to, right? Like that's something that the government does have the ability to regulate. And the way that Ricky, the way that we go about changing things like where you can smoke a cigarette is you do that with your ballot. You do that voting. You do the people choose the politicians, and the politicians choose the policy. So I hear what you're saying completely, but I would argue that you're a little bit off base in calling that a freedom or a liberty that we would have taken away by government. I mean, I think that I mean, am I wrong, Antonio? That's what the government exists to do, right? Is regulate stuff like that, right? Like that. I mean, it's kind of, if you don't like the policy of the politician, like when I'm talking about a liberty, I'm talking about saying that this guy can't go to work and this guy can, or this business is able to continue or is essential and this one isn't. When the government starts choosing winners and losers like that, that's when they're overstepping. But I think regulating where we consume tobacco products is probably not a civil liberty, but I don't know. But thanks for calling, Ricky. I really do appreciate the call. If you want to call in and talk to us, it's 678 on radio. That's 678-ONRADIO. Call in right now and we'll talk to you. So, man, Dak Prescott signed his franchise tender, or is going to sign his franchise tender. People are listening right now. They're like, wait a minute, he was just talking about politics, and now we're talking about sports again. Yeah, I try to get over here whenever I can and talk about something a little less disheartening. But then again, Dak Prescott may be disheartening for Cowboys fans out there. So, which, by the way, I'm a Cowboys fan, and so I might be talking to a mirror. But I mean, so that now he's got to go to training camp. You were telling me about this in the break. So now he's got to report for training camp. And I mean, why do I feel kind of in the middle right now? Like I'm like, I think it's a good thing, but we just picked up a new backup, right? A solid backup, and we have some options for the first time. Maybe, I don't know if it's really an option, but why did I lose his name? Who's the veteran that we just picked up?
I don't
know.
I don't say we with that.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about Andy Dalton?
Yeah, we picked up Dalton, didn't we? The Cowboys.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a legitimate backup. I mean, we didn't have a backup before. So like
your backup became your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, which I love, by the way. Kellen Moore's a genius. I think he's ever since he ran the Statue of Liberty at Boise State.
The positives of signing a franchise tender, if you're a Cowboys fan, for Dak Prescott is if you don't think he's worth $40 million a year, but you still need a quarterback for this season, you don't want to see your quarterback hold out, then you want him to sign the tender because, yes, that means he's getting paid $30 million
31.5
for 1 year to be the Cowboys quarterback while they figure out what they're actually going to pay him, his long-term contract. And they have, if he signs this tender today, which he's supposed to, they still have until July 15th to work out a long-term deal. But the bonus of signing your franchise tender means you're not going to see a Le'Veon Bell, you're not going to see a Melvin Gordon situation where they hold out and don't show up to camp and don't even play in regular season games until they get to try to put pressure and leverage on the Cowboys. Signing this franchise tender means he has to show up. He is obligated to be there and will be there, so you will have your starting quarterback. Even though he's going through contract negotiations with the guys upstairs, he will be on the field and ready to go.
I think I could make it on 31 and a half a year. I think I'd be all right.
I just need it for 1 year.
Yeah,
I'm done.
yeah.
I'll retire. Done. No question.
That's so true. Are we gonna have football or what? I mean, are we gonna play or do I have like?
I thought we were heading right towards playing. We were heading towards at the very minimum, starting with half capacity and getting back up to having stadiums full of people. But now it's not looking like that's
no.
But
you can crowd the streets. By God, pack them into the streets. But by God, stay out of. We were talking about that in the first hour. We're talking about, like, how does the coronavirus know what's a sporting event or a Republican event? Because it seems to be a lot stronger at Trump rallies than it does at protests.
Right. Well, my problem with that is just how the media frames it, right? I mean, it's just how they're framing it. They're always willing to talk about how dangerous it is for one side, but they just conveniently leave it out for the other side, or don't publicize when someone is writing an article about how bad it is during these rallies and protests. There are some of those out there. So, are we media? Journalism, no. You're not a journalist.
Well, that's because journalism is dead. That's because journalism no longer exists. It's a lost art, right?
That's the only real problem I have with the whole thing is not that why is the coronavirus only bad for football games and not bad for protests and things like that. I think it's bad for both. It looks like it's bad for both. We've had a spike in a bunch of cases and everything like that. So maybe having fans, a full stadium full of fans, is something you seriously have to look at now. But the media needs to be honest and cover it on both sides, and they just don't do that.
So I need to interrupt here. Zayden, my son, is listening right now. He's on his way to school, and his mom just texted me, and he wanted to hear his daddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, Zayden, how are you, man? I love you. Have a good day at school. But no, I mean, it's. We have a comment here. We're live streaming the show on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to check that out, go to thehometownheartbeat.com. And we have a comment here I want to come back to. Don't forget to come back to that. But on line 3, we have David. David, thanks for calling Hometown Heartbeat. How are you?
I'm great. You guys have talked about several things this morning. I assume you began that with the Texas Rangers and the Confederate flag. And
Yes,
I'm an American. I was born here, but at the same time, although being from Alabama, I am not a racist person. But I saw something that really told the whole story in a few words. It's a picture of this precious little 3-year-old girl, cute 2 pieces. And the image had a statement on it that said, "Do we blame her for slavery?" Underneath that was another little picture of an Asian 3-year-old, precious 2 pieces. Do we blame her for Pearl Harbor? I'm sick to death of all these people that might be offended. They're looking for something they're offended for and against, and I'm sick of it.
No,
as an American,
there's no doubt that we are
tired of this crap.
Well, look, you and me both, and there's no doubt that we live in a culture now where people look for a reason to be offended. Like, they look for it.
Yeah, I'm actually glad he brought that back up, because I didn't really get too much of a chance to respond to the whole Rangers thing because Wolverine Dan had called in, or Dan and Madison had called in. But we talked earlier about how, the comparison between the Confederate flag being banned in places and the Texas Rangers being asked to change their name, which they're not going to. And I believe you said that the Texas Rangers are more racist than the Confederate flag. I disagree with that, and I wanted to come on to be able to tell you that I disagree with that because, I mean, the way you described the history of racist behavior with some of the Texas Rangers, that's not what they were founded on. I mean, It's not the organization of the Rangers. You have individuals, sure, but the Confederacy was all about white supremacy and slavery. I mean, it's just fundamentally different. Like, that's the basis of it, whereas you have the basis of a police organization where you have bad apples, bad individuals. There's a difference.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And when we come back, we'll finish the show talking about the history of the Confederate battle flag, which is what the Confederate flag is, and we'll dive into that because I misstated that in a way that I need to clarify. So I'm glad you brought that back up. Right now, you are listening to Hometown Heartbeat. Check us out, thehometownheartbeat.com. We are live streaming. Would love to have you join us. We will be back quite soon. Thank you for joining us here on Hometown Heartbeat. Before we left, Me and Antonio were having a spirited debate. We've been all over the place, as the last caller just told us. But I want to dive right back into that with the last 8 minutes we have of the show. I made a comment that I probably made incorrectly without the context that I wanted to provide, and so let's just dive into that. So basically, we were talking about the difference we're talking about the Texas Rangers wanting the outcry for them to change their name over their law enforcement past, right? And then in comparison to the Confederate flag, both symbolizing today hate or racial inequality or injustice or whatever. And so I don't disagree that, yes, the Confederate flag stands for it. But the Confederacy and the flag itself, the history of the flag itself, it was the battle flag of it wasn't built to be the symbolism of slavery, like in the way that the swastika came to symbolize the Nazis. That was never the intent of the flag. And I think taking the flag and turning it into that's the dangerous part for me. And so it's history. If we erase history, what does history do? It seeks to help us avoid, like history serves as a reminder so that we don't go down the same path we went down before, right? And so anytime we erase it, like again, I'm not saying that the flag doesn't carry with it some racist meaning to people. Like I understand where that fits.
But I don't really consider banning it from like NASCAR and things. I don't think they're moving Confederate monuments and things like that to a museum and everything. They're not erasing it; they're moving it. The thing with the flag,
in some places,
the flag, there's a difference in erasing it altogether, removing it, and celebrating it. I mean, and that's what it was. It was being celebrated, and I think that's
what makes you say that. How is it being celebrated? I've never been to a Confederate flag party.
What do you mean how it's being touted all over the place? You don't necessarily have to wave it from a NASCAR stadium. You don't have to stand out in front of a NASCAR event and wave it in front of people
and I want to be
in
clear.
Order for it to be a thing.
No, and I want to be clear. I'm not a defender.
Asking you to stop doing that is not erasing it. It's just asking you to not bring it out into public. It still exists.
Sure. And just to be clear, like so everyone knows, I'm not by any stretch defending that. We talked about it earlier. Neither of us really could not real passionate about the Confederate flag. We're just having a debate about what it means for culture. And so I want you to listen to this here. Like this is something that you probably should take notes on. Like these are two people that we're having a slight disagreement on a subject, and yet we're not angry with one another. We're not going to fist fight in the hall. I mean, because people can disagree and not hate one another. And so no, you know what? You're right. It is in where we live for a lot of people. It is celebrated in a way that is meant to be racist. I mean, it really is. And so that's the problem. And that's really the heart of what I wanted to talk about. And not so much but the problem is the nut jobs that treat it as the symbol of hate,
right?
That cause the problem that we're having right now. Like I want to go after those idiots. Like that the flag in and of itself, yeah, sure. You know what? When people act stupid. Like with my son, for instance, if my son grabs a permanent marker and he starts drawing all over the carpet, I'm going to take the marker from him because he's causing harm, and that's exactly where we're at now, and it's unfortunate.
And that's just the part I don't get is yes, there are people that are super, because us here in the South, I mentioned earlier, super passionate about everything. You either don't care about something altogether or you're super passionate about it. That's how we are, and I'm not that about this flag, so I don't understand where people are coming from, that those that are super passionate about the flag. Like, what are we super passionate about? We don't want to erase the history. Okay, I'm not asking you to erase your history. I'm just asking you to stop bringing it out because the way it's being brought out is seen in a bad light. Okay, well, my great-grandfather fought under this thing, and you're erasing history. Okay, well, I love my grandparents to death. I don't have them anymore, but I loved them to death. But not everything they did was right. Not everything they did. So you don't have to. The military, no matter when you were in it, isn't all you are. I mean, you hear people say that all the time about their dad or mom that served in the military. They're not just a soldier. They're my mom also. Celebrate your dad for your great-grandfather for being your great-grandfather. You don't have to celebrate the soldier side of him that fought on the wrong side, fought for the wrong thing. You don't have to celebrate that.
Now, to be fair, though,
you can remember that. There's no problem with remembering that, but you don't need this. You don't have to have this flag to resemble that all the
But
time.
it's
okay to forget the wrong thing that he did.
Sure. But to be fair, and this happens in every war, in every army, and all across the world. Like there were poor, uneducated men that were frenzied into fighting for a cause that they could care less about. That would have, because it was, to them, it was made to be about states' rights. Now, the states' rights were absolutely to own people, and so while you and I get that, there are families, and I think the well-meaning ones, the ones that aren't trying to celebrate some flag, I think that their desire to remember some of the things that war represented to a lot of people that weren't wealthy white slave owners was a little bit different. Now, I understand what you're saying, and in context, it's not good. And so, yes, let's stop celebrating something that is inherently going to hurt people's feelings, or even if it's not justified, I'm still okay with it.
My whole purpose, and I know talking about this makes it sound like I'm so hardcore against the flag, and it's not that. Again, as I mentioned, I don't understand those that are so upset about it being gone, because I don't care either way. I just don't understand where the hardcore passion for it is coming from.
No, if somebody came after the American flag, I would probably be pretty passionate about that. I took an oath to defend this country. I signed up. I served my country, and I will fight you over the American flag. But the Confederate flag doesn't mean much to me.
To
honestly.
me, it doesn't matter to me at all. So that, again, that's my whole basis behind this. I just those that are super hardcore passionate about that flag, that didn't want to remove that you were so hardcore passionate about it that you either paid for a plane to be flown over a NASCAR race at Talladega, or because you lined the streets to show that flag even though it had been banned from NASCAR. Where does that passion for the flag come from? I want to know, because I don't understand it.
We got to get a Confederate flag expert in here on one of these days and have a chat about that. But no, listen, this has been a blast. This has been Hometown Heartbeats, our first day here at the 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. slot. We will be back as long as they'll have us. So this has been a lot of fun, dude. This radio thing's pretty cool.
It goes by faster than you think.
It does. Like, I feel like it's still 3:30 when I woke up this morning. It's been a lot of fun, and people just have to listen. So, we can say whatever we want. No, I'm kidding. And I do want to make sure we say something about the Civil War, and that it was, by the way, about slavery. Like, you say whatever you want about it, but it was absolutely about the right for people to own people as property. And so inherently, it's a blind spot in American history, and it needs to be treated as such. So, listen, you guys have been awesome this morning. Thanks for calling in and talking with us. Again, catch us at thehometownheartbeat.com. That's thehometownheartbeat.com. Dale Jackson in the room. What's going on, buddy? Dale's fixing to join. The Dale Jackson Show will be on shortly. But in the meantime, Antonio, thanks for being with us this morning.
No
guys,
problem.
thanks for joining. You've been listening to Hometown Heartbeat. We will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.